Good evening. My name is Kirsty Dignam, and I'm here to look at the energies this week with today's Monday's Musings, currently being recorded on the 31st of January 2026. So if you are part of my YouTube channel, you may be wondering why this has come out today of all days. No, you haven't got your dates wrong. It is still Saturday and it is still January. And that feels really quite important to acknowledge. As we start to lead into the new moon, the Chinese New Year, the year of the horse, the recognition that we are not quite in that energy yet, that we still have the tail end of the serpent year, and that it's not actually about deciding between the two, but merging them. How would that work? Well, the serpent in my own personal medicine wheel is the connection to the earth. It is our connection to the present moment. It is our connection to any healing that is occurring and anything that is shifting as a result, which we do when present in one movement, just like the serpent sheds her tail. Feeding into the energy at the moment, there's a lot coming in, as is always the case. But unless we have roots and grounding in where we find ourselves, the potential isn't going to be tapped into its, greatest potential. Now, you can call that the energy of the fire horse, you can call that the energy of the new moon, you can call that the energy of yourself or any situations that you find yourself in. One of the greatest themes that has been coming up for February, or what has been lovingly coined Fab Are You Ready, in this newsletter is, for this month, is you can take a horse to water. You cannot make a horse drink. Now, that isn't said in a judgmental perspective, but more in an invitation to be acknowledge where we may be lacking compassion. Not just so that we can be more soft and gentle with ourselves, but so that we can actually help ourselves through any transitions we may be struggling with. Compassion and gentleness and presence is what helps us shift what is occurring. So often the snake is seen as a powerful force of feminine destructive energy, or kundalini, or sensuality, or creativity. And whilst it is all of these things, the snake is so connected. The reason we have the snake in the south is it's so connected. Its belly is on the belly of the earth. Its heartbeat is connected to the earth. There's a deeper pulse of wisdom that is available when we are grounded, not just in our bodies, which are going to show us over the next few weeks some home truths that need to be looked at and cared for, tended for, nurtured like seeds, but also we are so grounded in our bodies, and beneath that, the very wisdom and potential that is going to help us create something different. When we think about shedding the skin, we shed the skin. Yes, we release, we let go of the past, we heal, we, fill in the gaps. But one of the greatest gifts of shedding the skin is that we allow a newness to come through, a rebirth, right? We know this. And yet, as Neptune moves into Aries, we are going to be shown where perhaps we may believe we have moved on from something. The very naive irony of that belief that comes from separating ourselves from something, and in that there will never be completion, there will only ever be division, but also the understanding that it's an ongoing process, the understanding that we may not quite have achieved what we wanted to achieve or believed we were achieving. Because Neptune in Pisces beforehand, one of the greatest wounds that would have risen collectively is this belief that we have to keep fixing and shifting and healing and shedding and whatever name you want to put into it, as if we're trying to achieve some unattainable goal that keeps us constantly striving in a... Now, there is a difference between growth and fight or flight based insecurity, and we're going to be shown that over the next few months. There's a difference between being ready and wanting to be ready. We're not here to fight our body. We're not here to fight the earth. We're not here actually to fight each other. This is a collective movement forward, which means we need all parts of ourselves on board. And that's really going to come to light over this month. It isn't about berating ourselves if we don't feel ready. It is about honestly, authentically aligning with where we are so that we can see where we may not feel ready. And that awareness alone will stop us focusing our energy on things we are unprepared for, come back to this present moment and start to shift things here and now, which is one of the other shadow aspects of Neptune in Pisces originally, the belief that spirituality is to transcend the physical body, to come back to the now, to start to move from this presence now. In doing so, things will start to adapt and evolve anyway. Now, the evolution, there are going to be a lot of changes in there always has been anyway, but a lot of evolutionary changes in our DNA, in our muscles and in our bone structure over the next, up until about 2032, 2036. These were the times that we had seen. The other side of the serpent that gets very misrepresented, not just the feminine side of it, but the rainbow serpent, right? The times of the winged rainbow serpent, the chakra body, the rainbow bridge, is the upgrade of our own energy centers. For those that are linked to the moon IQ, you would call it the homo luminous, but also the changes that come from adapting. We've all adapted to many things over the last few years, and there have been changes that haven't always been acknowledged or seen. And this month, there's a real opportunity to actually see where we are more ready than we may believe ourselves to be. Now, that may come in the gift, even though it may not appear to be a gift, of almost repetitive energies and situations that actually invite, glimmer, trigger, whatever word you want to use, a knowing sensation within us that may not be comfortable. An example, I'm doing this reading, as I say, on the 31st of January, 2 days, well, more than 2 days, but before Imbolc, the return of the light. And of course, it's also linked to St. Bridget, or the goddess Bridget. Now, she is the patron, the goddess of midwifery. Myself, personally, I have had situations this week where I have had to really look at my right to call myself a midwife, which I won't delve into, but they've helped me stand in the wisdom that I've gained throughout the decades of being a midwife, but now holistically being a soul midwife as well. And they were difficult. They really were quite intense. They really triggered a lot of old wounds within me, right down to a core level. And that's what we're dealing with, particularly as we go into the early part of February. Real core level things that have been hidden from ourselves as well, provided we can sit with them, provided we can connect to the heartbeat. We say core level, but it's the heartbeat. It's what has given these things life. Provided we can connect to that, the wisdom that has been hidden until now will also come forward. So for me, yes, there was a lot that occurred with the whole midwifery thing, but underneath it all was the recognition that I'm a guardian of midwives. I'm a patron of midwives. That is what I do, in perfect timing for Imbolc. Now, I share that because we are going to see things come up that will show us where we are not quite embracing our light, whatever that may be. Now, they may come uncomfortably, and this is where the guidance today is beautifully timed with the fact that I am filming this on, what is it called? International Day of the Zebra, I believe, where the world celebrates the zebra. Ironically, as we're about to go into the horse year, this isn't accidental, and we're going to be aware more of consequences and synchronicities, or synchronicities as consequences, right? And vice versa over the next few weeks. But this isn't accidental. This is beautiful. This isn't something that has just happened, that is just coincidence. This is divinely timed. Now, I share that because the reason I'm doing this video early, I have a lot going on tomorrow. One of those things will be to visit the cemetery because it's coming up for my mother's anniversary of her passing. And Monday, fingers crossed, third time lucky, on Imbolc, post full moon in Leo, I am a Leo. I have Jupiter in Leo. I have Mercury in Leo. So this isn't, this is just beautiful. Fingers crossed, third time lucky, I will be getting my teeth. I will be getting my false teeth at the bottom layer of my mouth. And there will be a completion of a cycle that I've been waiting for some time to come to closure. Which is the other thing. We may be a little bit drawn out and a little bit tired from cycles that seem to be dragging on a little bit longer than we would like, emphasis longer than we would like, because we're trying to rush them. So this week it is our opportunity, our responsibility to care for the body and give it what it needs. So it always is anyway, right? But it may be something that you don't quite expect. An example, I've just finished a beautiful reading and an EFT session with somebody, and afterwards I felt a little bit tired, but it was more of a surrendering tired. Now I know in this void-like energy a lot of wisdom can come through, a lot of insights can come through, but my body didn't quite feel up to it. I knew I was being prepared for this video, for whatever wanted to be shared, but my body didn't feel up to it. So I had chocolate. I had dark chocolate, which is really, really good for your eye levels, really, really good for the dopamine and serotonin anyway, but sweet and beautiful and just lovely. And I didn't get caught up in the fact that I should or shouldn't be having chocolate. I went with what my body needed without the judgment, and it turned out to be something beautiful and sweet. And now I can feel grounded enough to allow what needs to come through. So what I'm getting at here is in the cycles that feel as if they're never ending and they're exhausting or tiring, it's not about berating yourself or fixing or healing or shifting or shedding. It's about being gentle, having compassion, having some fun, bringing some light. Yes, we have Imulk. Yes, we have the light coming in, but that's only going to be on the level that we're willing to receive and the level that we're willing to acknowledge from within us also. Okay, which brings me on to light being linked to compassion. There's a real big movement there on how we see compassion and the honesty of how compassionate we actually are in the language that we use for ourselves and for each other. But I was talking about something before then, the zebra. Yes, the zebra, and recognizing that there is no coincidences here and taking responsibility for the creative role that we have in that. The zebra in the year of the horse is a black and white horse. In the year of being able to move forward and be wild and be free, as we're going into that, in order to work with these cycles that are on their way to bringing forth something new, first and foremost, recognizing that they're bringing forth something new. So if you find yourself in an old mindset trying to rush through it, or old thoughts or whatever, that isn't the newness that's trying to come through. The more you do that, the longer it's going to take. Be black and white with yourself this week. Be honest with yourself this week. It's not about being brutal with yourself. There's a difference between brutality and honesty without compassion is brutality to yourself and to others. This week, find time to come into the wisdom of the horse, which is the other thing I will share in a moment about the animal wisdom that's coming through, into the wisdom of the horse, which is herd mentality, heart coherence, grounded into the earth, being free, but also being able to go into fight or flight and then come back out of it as quickly, rather than being driven by it, to shake it off, to move with whatever is going on, but also to finish the cycle when we are able. The zebra is black and white. The zebra is known for individuality. It's known for the shadow and the light. It's linked in Egyptian times to mystical experiences. It's more of a, it's in the caves. It's been drawn all over the cave. It's a very ancient animal. To recognize being black and white can be just as powerful, and honoring that and embracing that a bit more. I've always been guided to walk down the middle road, always, ever since I was a child. But the guidance for me personally of late is to call things for what they are, ourselves included, and to be black and white in that. To not muddy the waters. There is going to be enough muddiness coming up. To not muddy the waters. To take responsibility for something that makes you feel like crap and not do it. To feel into your relationships and look honestly at where you're at and to speak that truth, but also to hear that truth, to really be present with what is going on, and to recognize that the only way that we can create change is to really observe ourselves and to take responsibility for that. By looking after our body, by getting honest with what our body wants, by not judging what our body wants as well. Now, today I was very frustrated. Frustrated is the word. I had a lot of tarot decks out and for the reading that I just had, and I didn't know which ones to use. And I looked at the Tarot of the New Vision, which I adore, but in my mind, it didn't feel as if there was anything really new there. There was things I hadn't seen, but there was nothing really new there. Nothing that I felt warranted that title in that moment. I then looked at the Wildwood Tarot, and again, it didn't feel relevant to the world that we were living in at the moment. And the Spellcasters Tarot fell into my lap. That's a sign, right? It's easy, right? Oh, yes. Okay, the wisdom that we're being given is down to how we create with it. Until the last minute, and then that didn't feel right either. This week things may fall into your lap. This week things may look different and not quite be. This week things may call to you emotionally but not quite be. And the tarot deck that I'm actually going to use are the Animal Totem Tarot. I was even going to work with the Horse Wisdom deck, but it isn't time yet. And that's really important to acknowledge, that whilst there is all of this potential, potential without embodiment, potential without awareness of where we are, remains potential. It isn't time to bring in these new things yet. It is time to allow what we don't want to take forward to slowly become the mulch and the fertilizer of the seeds that we do. This is Imbolc. Said it before, I'll say it again. Imbolc is the whisper of spring. Imbolc is the point between the equinoxes. It isn't the change itself, it is the promise of change. From the milk and the sweetness and the hope of Bridget, or the mother's milk, or the chocolate that our body needs. It is that what makes us want to get up in the morning, what makes us want to come out of hibernation. Joy, laughter, hope, beauty. Find that this week. We can talk about the light returning, but if we do not allow it in, if we do not embrace it and open our hearts to it, we will only get what we're able to receive. Okay, so that feels harsh, but there is no harshness in this truth that is trying to come through, and it is trying to come through for many of us. So yes, the deck that I'm going to use are actually the Animal Totem Tarot by Lisa Robinson, and they're a beautiful deck. Now the reason, oh look, I can actually show the image. The reason I'm going to use them, every year is guided by an animal archetype, but for a beautiful observation that I'm making of late, a lot of people are really connecting to the horse energy. Now the horse has carried us through our evolution, so there's no surprise there. And the horse, it can be linked to the wind horse of the mind, it can be linked to the shamanic horse. Horses have been in caves for as long as we can remember. Horse is a universal symbol for us, and people have really connected to that. Horses are symbolic of your power also, so feeling into your relationship with the horse, whatever reason you may have, this horse year is really helping. It's the same with the fire, really. It's the same with the the promise of transformation, right? That's what this horse year is doing. But what it's doing is connecting people to the wisdom of the horse, or the wisdom of the animal. It is bringing us back to our animal self, our undomesticated self. And that is going to be more important as we go through the years, because our undomesticated self is who we are. Okay, I need to be mindful of the time here. So we have this Leo full moon tomorrow on the 1st of February. And the emphasis here is really to stand in our light, to really be in our divine self, to not silence that. But on the strength card in the tarot, that's the lion. On the strength card in the tarot, it is our animal self that is being allowed to speak, and that is our emotions, our drives, our desires. Right, for those that are subscribed onto YouTube, this is where I'm going to carry on the video. On Instagram, you need to pop over because of time restraints, and on TikTok, this is where you'll see it onwards. So again, over to Instagram for the bit before. Okay, let me carry on. it feels really important to acknowledge that there are times when it's okay to separate. There are times when it's okay to compartmentalize. A huge kestrel just flew over my house. There are times when it's okay to compartmentalize. Some people are able to receive certain levels of information and some people other, and it's not about division now. This is about expansion, and we're being offered that this week, an introduction into that this week, and our role within that this week, our ability within that this week. So connecting to our animal self allows us to do that because we are more aware of what is going on in our environment. We're not trying to control it as much as humans do tend to like to control it, and we're not overthinking it as much as humans do tend to like to overthink it. We are feeling it. That is the energy of the serpent. When we're connected to our body, when we're connected to our present self, when we're connected to this present moment, we are in the energy of our emotions and our feelings. It's such a mama, it's of the waters. Okay, so there's going to be a lot coming up with water over the next, well, probably decade or so. And I'm not going to get into that in this video because this video is to look at the weekly energy, but come back to your emotions. Come back to the wisdom that they hold, not just yours, but the ancestors before you. The water is the one real element that when we drink water, our great-great-great-grandmothers would have drunk that same water. So come back to that wisdom and really sift through and clear it. What is being offered to you? What medicine is being offered to you? It will be related to whatever you're doing anyway, but feel it. Feel how much you believe in that. Feel how much you believe in yourself. Because the Leo full moon, okay, the Leo full moon on the 1st of February is going to be the transition point between the serpent year and the horse year. It's going to be the guiding light that will help us to move across the bridge of, now for some people it will be timelines, for some people it will be worlds, for some people it will be relationships, for some people it will be how they see themselves, and for some people it will be all of the above. Okay, so it's going to be how we transverse over by expressing our light, by sitting in our light, by acknowledging and seeing our own light, and the strength that is required to do that. What do I mean by strength? Not brute strength. I don't mean forcing. I'm seeing a lot of it at the moment, particularly in the spiritual community again, because, hey, Neptune has moved from Pisces, right? So all of that holding and peace and love and light and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the world to quote unquote wake up or whatever. There's been a lot of patience and a lot of wounds with that and a lot of shadow and a lot of work been done with that. And now all of a sudden Neptune's gone into Aries and there's like someone's lit a flame under our asses. Someone's give us a kick up the jacksie and it's like, I feel this shift in energy and it's amazing. It's amazing and it's been long awaited. And it really doesn't matter if you call it the fire horse or the Aquarian New Age or the, Neptune in Aries. It doesn't matter. It's been so long awaited and in that called for from us all. But the transition to go from that peace to action has, I'm seeing a lot of, come out in a very defensive way, a very aggressive way. Now, I'm not here to judge on that. I've been doing it. Oh my God, I've been doing it. And there's such a fine line, isn't there, between aggression and passion. And it's not about silencing it. It's about channeling it and working with it. And it's new and it's not new, but being able to express it in the way that we want to is empowering and new. And it's like people running around with fire, like not quite knowing what to do with it. I'm seeing the analogy of, is it Prometheus that gave fire to man, or whoever it was that gave fire to man? It's like that analogy, like, oh my God. Now remember, yes, physical fire was given, but so was the recognition of our own connection to spirit and our own potential. And we're seeing that. We're waking up to that. We're seeing that and we're feeling that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shift, right? This week is an opportunity to pause, to be, to acknowledge strength for what it is. I'll give you an example. I just finished another compassionate resilience class, a counselling session. And we were going over when something happens, when we go from a threat response through the process. I mean, ideally, it would always be a compassionate response, right? But we don't live in a perfectly compassionate world. And we're not always compassionate, particularly to ourselves. And that's going to really come up in February as well. Go gentle, go gentle, go gentle. We're emulk, make it sweet, be from the mother's milk, nurture your situation. But to go from a threat response through to a motivating response, through to a compassionate response, it's an ongoing process. And one of the things we discussed was cues, Kuws. So we can have a knowledge of why we behave the way we do, or why the world behaves the way that it does. And we can have an understanding of our responses, and we can have the wisdom that we have gained having experienced that over and over and over. But we must have the strength to say, I don't need to keep doing this. We must have the strength to bring in something new, to replace behaviors, thoughts, patterns, situations. We can be, particularly with the Neptune and Pisces, I've been in it so many times, we can get so caught up in seeing things from so many different perspectives and so many different angles that we do nothing about it. Now, Neptune is in Aries. Finish the cycle. Complete the cycle. That's happened because of that. That's behavior has come up because of that. I've learnt this before because of that. And now the new action forward I'm going to take is that. Okay. I was going to give another example, but I think there's a fine line this week of how many examples we want to share to keep reiterating the same story, because there comes a point when reiterating the same story isn't strength. It is reiterating the same story. So based on that, 2626, yes, I'm going to look into the energies this week and how to best navigate them with the help of the animal kingdom, who I adore, absolutely adore. You know, if you're not sure what's going on, just connect to the animals around you. Just really connect to the animals around you. And what do I mean by that? You know, we can really feel into the animal totem. What do we have? The Page of Wands. Yeah. We can really feel into the animal totem, and we can Google what they mean, you know, like the zebra, you know, the black and white and the Egyptian lynx and all those kind of things, or the transformational year of the horse, or we can go and be with them. You're going to find a completely different wisdom that comes through. Okay, you're going to about yourself and about them. You can meditate with them, you can shapeshift with them, you can, you know, connect. You might find yourself connecting to crows and you can do a crow dance. This is about embodying the knowledge that is trying to come through. The card at the bottom of the pack is the Page of Wands, and it's the chameleon. This is about adaptivity. This is about feeling into our environment, not fighting our environment, becoming part of our environment, becoming part of the nature and working with it. Recognizing where you are, unless it's unsafe, obviously, where you are, and only you can deem what level of safety is safe for you. Where you are is part of your evolution right now. Where you are is needs you as much as you need it. Okay, so really feeling into, particularly when it comes to desires this week, yes, they may be yours. They may also be guided by something bigger. That's the other energy, thank you, yeah, of the serpent. So we can believe that we're shifting this, we're healing this, we're feeling this, but actually it could be coming from the earth through us too. Yes, that does work that way. When we talk about the magician year, we talk about how the energy comes down in and we channel it into what we want. That's so human. That's so human. It's a give and receive process. There's a reason that the magician has the infinity loop there as well. So does the strength card, right? Because it also comes from the earth up. So we may be feeling things politically, particularly on the collective that's coming through us also. Work with it, create with it, channel it, move with it, dance with it, run with it, do what you have to do. The reason the animal kingdom work through fight or flight as quick as they do is, one, they don't take it so personally. Two, they know that it's a product of its environment. Three, they don't overthink it. They survive, and once they survive, they shake it off. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen a gazelle chased by a lion. Once they're chased, once they're safe, they shake it off. Shake it off this week. For want of a better phrase, I sound like Taylor Swift, but shake it off. Do something, or Florence and the Machines, I prefer personally, but do something to, when something comes up, experience it by all means, but then finish it, shake it off, do something with it, create something with it, turn it into the beauty that you need in that process. This isn't about letting things go. This is about bringing in something new. This year, yes, it's the magician, it's the 10-year, it's the, whole cycle and completion, but it's also recognizing you are part of this. This goes beyond being victim of our circumstances or any of that, or positive thinking or anything. This is recognizing we are part of the ecosystem. Only then will we look after ourselves as a valid part of it, and the world itself, because we will see that as a living entity of the ecosystem too, as well as animals and sentient beings and everything else. Animals know that. They're ahead of the game with that. Horses know that. All animals know that. So really connecting to that this week. Recognizing we are a product of our environment. And if we don't like that, then maybe just changing what's going on for us could change the environment. I've said it before. I live in an area that isn't very affluent when it comes to finances, and my whole life has been about that so far. I'm going to add so far, because underneath you have the 6 of Swords and the 8 of Swords. Yes, I'm ready to move forward from that. And the Devil card. Yes, my life has been like that so far. That could be a product of I could be a product of that environment, and I could hoard and hold on, and I've chosen to do the opposite, just like my ancestors chose to do the opposite. And in that, I'm shifting my perspective of myself, if nothing else, within the environment. So wherever you find yourself this week, it may not be the particular nature that you would like to be part of, but maybe you're there to be the evolutionary catalyst that it needs. Okay, energies this week, 31, 33, goodness me, and how to best navigate them. Recognize that whatever work you put in beforehand is going to make whatever is needed at the end less. So I've done a lot of talking about the energy that's coming through, and I know that the tarot cards are going to reflect that. So it's all relevant, it's all valid. Okay, we have the 4 of Pentacles underneath and the 7 of Swords here. It's gorgeous because we have the squirrel burying nuts here, and then the other side we have, you can't quite see it, it's I think it's a meerkat coming up from the ground, and next to that you have the 3 of Swords, which is in the elephant graveyard. Anything that we are planting now, including heartbreak, including pain, including wounding, particularly from an ancestral level, is what's going to help us mentally rise up. It may not feel as if the things that are coming in are gifts. The other day when I was challenged about the soul midwifery thing, oh my God, I didn't need that. I didn't need to start questioning all of that. But actually I did, because underneath it all, I was lacking confidence and belief in my own light. So this week, whatever is occurring, it is an opportunity to let go of the seeds that are ready to grow, the changes that you have done all you can with, to plant them, to get what you need from them and put them back into the ground, give them back to the earth so that she can give back up whatever she needs you to do with the results. Yes, the 3 of Swords there. Yes, the elephant's there. Yes, I'm thinking of the of Ganesh as well, but also the saying that elephants never forget. We're never going to forget what we've gone through. We're never going to get over wounds. It's not about getting rid of. We have to start realizing that in getting rid of something, we are separating ourselves, dividing ourselves. This is more an opportunity to decide what perspective you want to bring through. When the snake sheds its skin, it doesn't not grow any more skin. It grows new skin, but just like our thumbprints, the skin is still the same pattern and still the same identity and still the same DNA. It's just a newer, cleaner, fresher version of it. This isn't about getting rid of who you are. This is about revealing it. I'm so tempted to leave it there. Because that would just be such a perfect moment, wouldn't it? But there's my own insecurities of we haven't looked into the wisdom for the week ahead and how to best navigate it. That's okay. There'll be moments when there are perfect times to stop, There's another beautiful, that's a seagull. But it's okay to carry on if you feel you need a little bit more wisdom. That's okay. Have some compassion this week. You know, strength is, we talk about the strength card in the tarot, but it's also a card of patience and compassion. And people so often forget that, just like the horse energy. Yes, transformative. Yes, powerful. Yes, strong. But my goodness, the love of a horse, the gentility of a horse, the connection and wisdom of a horse, if you dare to sit with them, not on them. Where's this rush to ride and control? With them, sit with them and feel your heart expand. I dare you. I dare you to sit with them and just be with your heart expansion, or the earth, or whatever creature is coming to you this week. Okay, energies this week and how to best navigate them. We have the Three of Pentacles, which is the giraffe. In my own tarot deck, yeah, there's no point me showing these cards up to you because you can't see them. In my own tarot deck, the giraffe is the star card. Okay, so in this one, the giraffe is reaching up for things that have already grown for them, and knowing that that growth has not only been part of the process, but also that they have evolved enough to be able to reach them because they have a long neck. Okay, so everything in their evolution, they have adapted to their environment. Okay, they are able to reach for it now based on what they have gone through. Seeing yourself as part of the creative process. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, okay, I laugh because the horse has come up. It's come up for the end of the week, which is amazing. So that energy is starting to come in by the end of the week. Whatever's happening the beginning of February, by the end of the week, things are starting to shift, and we're starting to feel that more transitionary period of the horse-like energy. But until then, whatever is occurring is here to help us to reach up high enough in our vibration, in our perception of ourselves and our perception of our own ability to go for what we need now. This isn't just about what we would like. This is what sustains us. This is what it's all been about, what all these stretches and growths and evolutions and changes have all been about. And this week there is a culmination of that. And yes, we are going to have to stretch ourselves. We are going to have to see beyond the obvious, ourselves included. We are going to have to be brave enough to say, okay, I see that. I know that. I understand why this is occurring. I've got the wisdom of it. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to bring forward something new here? I'm just noticing that my light is getting a bit dark because it's getting dark outside. And this week it may get quite dark outside. Do what you can when the light shines, when it starts to get dark, you know, just recognizing the change in energy, recognizing the change in luminosity, and giving the body what it needs. Okay, we're not out of winter yet. We're not. So if you're still feeling that needing to go within, okay, then go within. Balance. The zebra is balance as well. Black and white is balance. Okay. On the Monday, we have the Nine of Wands. And what I love about this card is not only is it the goat, again, no point me showing this, not only is it the goat that stood on the hill of the journey that he has walked, the goat being obviously the Capricorn energy over January as well. Not only, and into Aquarius, not only have we done that, not only have we found our footing, in this Nine of Wands, he's not using it to defend himself. He's not using it to hide behind. He's not covered in wounds. He's proud. He's white and beautiful, white in colour. And he almost reminds me of the white stag. What's that film? Patronus, you know, where you have your totem, your protective animal, really connecting to that, really being open to that this week. And it could very well be the horse, and that's why you're being invited or sparked to really feel this energy. If you're really feeling this energy of the horse, then maybe it's your totem. Maybe for whatever reason it hasn't been able to be until now. Maybe it has something to show you, you know, that has, you know, when we think about this year as well, it is the 10 years. So it is also the sun card rounds round to that. Beautiful crow now. It is also the sun card that rounds round to that. So the horse in the sun card, right, that beautiful white pure horse in the sun card, you may be really drawn to the horse this year because it's your totem and it was always your totem, and for whatever reason you were unable to embrace that, but now is the time. The wands here are not defending the creature, they are behind it. They are behind the goat. He knows where he's been, he knows what he's done, and in that he knows what he's capable of on the Monday. Truth doesn't need defending, right? It's black and white. It's black and white. On the Tuesday, we have the Six of Cups. And on the Tuesday, I feel some kind of, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, but truth can be da 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 da. And what I sense is the third eye getting very cloudy and very blocked, very painful, actually, because it's trying to stretch. The third eye is trying to stretch. But actually what's happening is when we doubt our emotions, when we doubt what we know, when we doubt our truth, our vision shuts down. Now our vision here is very much linked to the Kundalini that is trying to rise here, very much linked to the winged serpent that is trying to rise here. This energy center that is trying to open, the more that it can open, the more that we can trust our truth in each moment and trust ourselves to know our truth in each moment, the more our vision and perception is going to open. When our perception opens, so too does how we see the world, so too does how the world make itself seen. Okay, so we have the Six of Cups here, and it's the otters. I was going to say, I can't quite see what's in front of me. I may very well have to turn my light on. Hold on. So when you can't see what's going on in front of you, then find a way to illuminate it. Find a way to find extra light here. From the wisdom of the otter, they're here with the Six of Cups. They're here with this nostalgia, but they're not just sat looking at it. They're really invoking it. They're really getting involved with it. They're really enjoying it. So in those moments of uncertainty, when were you certain? What did bring you joy? What did bring you happiness? Particularly on the Tuesday, what brought you harmony? 6 is the harmony. 6 is the number of love. And, it's the number of our solar plexus on the tree of life. It's that bridge. Okay, when we want to get from defensive or our journey through to the Nine of Pentacles on the Wednesday, how can we bridge it? Well, it's going to be with joy. It's going to be with nostalgia. It's going to be with the inner child who may get triggered in order to let you know what it is they need. On the Wednesday, and may not, it may not. It's not like, oh my God, it may not, depending on how we can listen. How well we can listen. On the Wednesday, that is the emphasis. We have the Nine of Pentacles here, and we have the tortoise. Now, the tortoise is soft and gentle and wise and takes its time. And as a result, the wands behind the goat have become a beautiful brick wall behind the tortoise. There's no going back now. Come Wednesday, there's no going back. On the Monday, yeah, we may very well be shown things that will remind us of where we've been. On the Tuesday, that's an invitation to feel into what we really enjoyed and what we want to take forward. And on the Wednesday, what is that? Well, that's Imbolc, right? So Imbolc, however you want to pronounce it, has been tied in with St. Bridget. Okay, but actually the quarter point is from the 3rd to the 6th. So, when you're thinking Tuesday, Wednesday time, that's when we start to really bring in that balance, that crossroads, if you will. And it will be a crossroads for some people too. We may see more transitions over the next few days as well, but it will be that crossroads for people. Be that from homes, be that to jobs, be that from relationships, particularly as we come into Wednesday, because there's no going back. There's no going back. We have taken what we've experienced. We have milked it for all that we can. And there's a real difference between sustaining milk and non-sustaining milk. Okay, what is that? Well, it's how the body is, how well we look after the body. Okay, how well we can be with the supply and demand, how well we can feel into our needs and cater to them, how much skin to skin contact we can have, how close we can be with our own bodies. That's really going to make a difference at the beginning of the week in how able we are to adapt to the environment as a result. Because on the Wednesday, there's no going back. There's an invitation to be present, to slow down. And on the Thursday, we are going to see with the Page of Wands again, that has come back up, where we have adapted to our environment, whether or not we still need to, where we have made an impact, whether or not we still need to, and who we are underneath it all. There's a lot of movement about people pleasing, and there's many different thoughts around that. Now, as long as you know who you are at the core, we all have all these multitude of roles, right? As long as you know who you are at the core, the essence of who you are at the core, that page of one's energy right at the core, that spark of light that you are, you could turn your hand to anything. We all can. Okay, we are all capable of creating anything, and come the Thursday we're going to be made aware of that, and that's beautiful and daunting. So much easier when we know who we are and what we're doing, right? That's an ongoing process. We're always learning. On the Thursday, the opportunity here is to shapeshift. You can call it people pleasing, you can call it adaptability, but when you're aware of it and you know your skill in that, you can shapeshift. You can bring in what you're trying to achieve. You can become that new beginning. Now, I'm not suggesting that you fake it till you make it, because the body knows the score. But if you want to be a leader, feel what that would mean. If you want to be successful, step into the vibration of that. If you want to have relationships that are based on love, then become that as much as you can. Now, we know this, aligning with the frequency. However, we're still very young as a species in that. Look at the animals around you. I was thinking today, do birds ever feel like they're too much bird? Or do, as you do, I went to the beach, do the geese that were flying over, do they ever feel like, question how much of a goose they are? I don't know is the answer, but I like to think that they don't. I like to think that in our heartbeat core, our animalistic, undomesticated, being completely who we are, authentically and raw and, wild, we don't either. And that's the opportunity on the Thursday. On the Friday, we have the Two of Cups. We have a hermit crab here walking along with two cups that have been turned over, and he's not looking at the two cups that have been turned over. He's not interested. He is literally moving forward, carrying his shell, carrying his cup, knowing that wherever basically he lays his hat, that's his home, that his needs are always met. So he's not interested. On the Tuesday, we're interested in the glitzy gold distractions that help us to feel a bit more nostalgic. Come the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's not enough. Come the Friday, we get to a point where we acknowledge that the way that we connect and relate to things will always be based on how secure we feel in ourselves, and to take responsibility for that, to ensure that we do feel that. That's not to say you can't be in a relationship until you're ready, but to acknowledge where you're at when you're in that relationship, to acknowledge the stage that we're at. Once we know where we are vibrationally and we know what we want to bring in, we can start to bridge the gap, right? Now, it's not about us doing all the work or the universe doing all the work, but being aware and just listening to the communication that is going on between us and the world around us, okay? That is the Two of Cups. Yes, of course, it's relationships, but it's relationships with the self and it's relationships with the world around us also. And that's actually where I feel almost as if my milk is coming in. That's what this week is all about. The supply and demand of ourselves with the earth. That's the energy of the serpent also that we're still in until we get to the weekend. The energy of the serpent is connected to the heartbeat. It's skin to skin with the earth. And all the time we have that connection, our needs are met. All the time we have that connection, there is this constant, infinite supply and demand. Okay, so that's the other side of the serpent energy. Yes, we can think, oh my God, this is shifting, that is shifting. Oh my God, oh my God. We can pause, we can be with our body and reclaim the knowing that we've got this. Because there's a far greater force underneath us supporting us, always has been, and around us that we are part of. We are a microcosm. We're not on our own here. Come the Saturday, we then have the Queen of Cups, and that's when our emotions will start to flow. We have a moose who is actually treading water, under the water. Now, I never would have assumed that a moose would go into the water, but actually that's the thing, isn't it? The energy, I've moved near the beach and I never would assume that being a fire sign, I would want to be near water. I'm not that keen on water, but actually This moose is in its comfort here. This weekend, it may surprise you what you find comfortable, because we're starting to realize that the people that we have been for our own evolution, and that we have changed, but also that we may not have always been that person. We may have had to be that person, and there's going to be an unraveling and an unrevealing of who we are underneath it. There's compassion there, there's intuitive energy there, there's love there, there's wisdom there, there's confidence in being comfortable with who we are by the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But we've got an extra card. I've just realised that. And that would be overall, yes, of course. Sunday, we have the Eight of Wands. Sunday, we have the energy of the horse. Okay, so we have that fast-moving spiritual energy. But remembering, yes, horses are fast. Yes, they are built for speed. Yes, they are powerful. Yes, they are driven. You know, you can't see this card. Oh, you might be able to now have light on it. Yes, marvelous. So once we get light on the situation this week, yes, things will be quick. They will be driven. They will be fast moving forward. Yes, just like fire, that can bring transformation. But be mindful of your adrenal glands, be mindful of the impact on the body, ensure that it isn't fight or flight and that it is alignment. There is a difference. Are things moving forward from a fear-based reaction? Are they moving forward with ease and grace? Power isn't forced. It isn't aggressive. I feel that really emotionally. We've been taught that power is that way, just like we've been taught that strength is resilience and it is, you know, really forceful and forthright. Now that is the element of it, but get to the core of that energy, get to the core of the energy of fire, get to the core of the energy of the horse. Power is power. Yeah, it's grounded, it's rooted, it's guided, it flows, it has ease and grace, and it may feel chaotic to the person that is trying to control that. It may feel out of our control or frightening to the person that doubts that or wants to understand that. But to the person that knows that and respects that within, power is alignment to ourselves, to each other, to the forces around us. And the horse knows that. And how does the horse know that? From the heart coherence. 8 is mastery. 8 is infinite. The heart is infinite. The wisdom available in that is infinite. Transformation is infinite. Enjoy the ride, right? Overall, we have the full energy, and this is part that people have left untapped actually in the energy for the year ahead. There's so many, it's so multifaceted that yes, it does roll down to 1, but you have 10, which means you have 19, which means you have the sun card, which you also have the full. The wisdom to continuously end and start again. That's 10. That's 10. People really got confused with 9 being the year of completion, of endings. It was the year of completion, and there's a difference. The difference is integration. 10 is the year of endings, but with endings come beginnings. We must remember that. And with beginnings come endings. The Fool is the Fool because he can go into the space of the void. He can go into the infinite zero that continues to go round and round and round. Okay? Here it is the grasshopper. Here he is jumping off of a very small stick, but he's jumping nevertheless. Yeah, he has that ledge. He's not weighed down by this heavy stone here. And there isn't much to be seen other than the sun on his back and the journey before him and the stones that are going to be asked to be let go in order to jump from the sticks that are given. The grasshopper always reminds me of Jiminy Cricket, right? With the consciousness level there, with the conscience. Is there a difference between our conscience and our consciousness? Well, this week is going to show us. Take care, and I'll see you soon.